Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel today. We're back on GT Sport and we're back with two races from last week's daily race C in Group 3 at the Nordschleife 24-hour track. And yeah, what an exciting week this was. I really enjoyed it. Started to find some pace towards the end. We were searching for a decent win in the top lobby, obviously on daily racing, the EU servers. This was the second to last race we did at this week of all the races, and we had managed to win one earlier on in the week, but I think it wasn't the most competitive. And after that, we hadn't managed to get a win because we hadn't really set a good enough time. We did manage to get our lap time down to an 8:01, which we definitely could have improved, but I didn't do time trial and I just did laps while we were live, etc. So yeah, into turn one, starting from P4. Let's see how this race goes. Trying to stay with some of these cars. We've got Derek, who was very fast there, and also P2 was pretty fast around this track as well, so it was going to be a very difficult task to try and get a win from this race, but we're going to do our best. Starting from P4, let's see what we can do. We've got Fusa behind us there, also pretty fast at this combination as well, so it's going to be an interesting one. Can we manage to stay with this group to start with? First aim of the race, try and stay in the slipstream of them cars in front of us. So we were using -3 brake bias for this combination. I found it quite stable with the Supra, and it kept the rear tyres with enough grip all the way to the end with no real issues. So managing to stay through the first sector, running the GP track. This part of the track is no real issue for me. I know this track and I'm normally pretty decent here. We're not too slow at all, so yeah, managing to stay with no issue behind these at this point here, and just trying to make sure we don't make any big mistakes. Not trying to overdrive this car. This car was fairly new to me. I've never really bothered with it too much because I'm not a massive fan of the Supra, but I have to say I did start to enjoy driving it at this combination. It is just very, very sketchy when it gets anywhere near a curb if you put too much power down. But we've managed to get through the GP part of the track there with no real issues. Still in P4, and we're actually starting to pull away from the slipstream from the car behind nearly there as we work our way on the downhill section, just trying to make sure we keep it nice and smooth here, being very cautious on that curb there in the Supra because that curb can catch you out. And then through these really fast flowing corners, almost flat out through there, we actually had to give it a little lift, made a little bit of an error there, but then into this left-right rotation sequence, which again, when you hook all these corners up, it does feel absolutely brilliant at the green hell. Really enjoyable section of track. I do really enjoy this first section here actually, with these fast left to right section of corners, using the curbs, etc. Really fun to drive. And then we work our way down onto the power section, which you want to obviously be in that slipstream here, and then you're in that fast right hand corner, and then again into that flat out section. So yeah, just trying to make sure we stay pretty close here over the jump, staying within that slipstream and working our way down this hill, following the cars in front of us and picking up some very high speeds in Group 3 cars before we get to the next braking zone, which again is another tricky area of the track, which I always find very difficult to spot that exact braking point. But we are definitely improving and getting more consistent at this track, especially with driving quite aggressively, because that is one area that I've struggled at this combination, with really pushing whilst trying to keep it consistent. And we're definitely starting to find a bit more pace towards the end of the week and starting to drive much better. So again, improvements again this time. We've gradually improved every time this combination comes up, and it's great to see that we're managing to get some good qualifying positions also, considering we hadn't done time trial. You know, still starting P4. I'm sure we could have done an 8 flat or a 7:59 if we would have really pushed it, but I was more worried about just doing races and trying to enjoy the races of this combination. So we're going to skip a little bit further ahead. Race was fairly static up to this point, just following the line in the slipstream. And as we come through here, Derek in P1 runs a little bit wide. That's going to cause a bit of an issue now. We're going to go 2 by 2 all the way through here. So you've got 2 cars in front of us, 2 cars side. I decided to give Derek a little bump draft here, and we're going to try and go round the outside and go up on the inside of the next corner. However, as we come through here, P1 just loses the rear slightly and clips Derek's rear. Derek then loses control, clips into Tommy time trial. We go up the inside and up into P2. So yeah, bit of an F in the chat for them, but we managed to take the position and up to P2 now, and hopefully now we're going to get a bump draft from Fusa, which he does. Gives us that bump draft to try and get us into the slipstream of P1, because we don't want to lose that slipstream. We want to try and stay with him and pick him up on the main straight on the end of the lap. So coming through this really fast section now, bump drafting us all the way down, and we're just about creeping into that slipstream as we come into the fast left hand corner. And yeah, we're solidly in there now. So let's see if we can manage to stay in this slipstream. That's the thing, this track This is probably my weaker section now. I think coming through to this next few sections of track is probably my weakest section of this combination. I do need to work on it. I think from just before the carousel and then probably all this section here, this is quite weak for me. I tend to struggle to really push the car through this section here, and again all the way through here, through this right hand corner, then into the left hand corner, then this right, then right section. That is really weak for me. And then I'm not too bad from this point onwards. As we get to here, you can see we actually lost the slipstream at this point, so you can see that section there, not the greatest section for me. But once we get back into this section, we do seem to find a bit of pace and a bit of consistency, just trying to get the rotation on the car in these high speed corners and just being careful not to hit the curbs. Funny, because it's very easy to understeer on some of these corners if you just take the wrong line, hit a bump funny. Yeah, it's such an enjoyable track though once we do get the hang of it as we work our way through to these final corners again, down to third gear, getting on the throttle early. Definitely starting to improve at this part of the track. This corner here is very tricky, has caught me out many a times last week. Luckily this time we managed to hook that up pretty nicely, and we've pretty much got in the slipstream of P1. We've just got to try and stay with him through this really fast long right hand corner where I just decided one lift off the throttle and then kept it planted all the way through the corner, and we managed to stay in the slipstream, and that was vital to get back in the slip and then stay in the slip. And now we're going to work our way all the way up this straight with a nice gain in power. So yeah, picking up that slipstream. We're not going to bump draft him because I think he was slightly faster than me at this combination. So for me, it's probably better to get in front and try and dictate the pace myself rather than lose the slipstream. So yeah, we're going to go for the move there, put ourselves up into P1, and then yeah, let's see if we can hold on to this position in this race. So he's getting the slipstream behind us now. However, he's not going to be able to go for a move because there's nowhere to really overtake at the end of this lap when you're going so fast. So just trying to keep it nice and smooth through here, use some of the curb, onto the throttle, upshift to third gear, and now we're going to work our way into turn one. So we're going to go to the right, try and break that slipstream a bit, then back over to the left hand side of the track. And then there was no real need to go defensive in the braking line because he was a little bit too far back. And the thing with this corner is you can brake late and then hold the inside to the next part of the corner because it goes into that tight left hand corner. So I decided just to hold my normal line, and we actually hooked that up quite nicely. He managed to stay with us there, and now we're going to skip a little bit further on as we managed to keep that lead for quite a while there, all the way up to this section. Again, we were really trying to push at this point. You can see the gap was around 3/10, and I wanted to try and see if we could break that slipstream. So I decided, let's see if we can really go for it. So I saw a little mistake from the car behind there. We got the gap up to 4/10 and started to really push from this point onwards. So really aggressive through there, using the curb, actually hooked that up quite nicely through the gears, flat out through here, and then we're going to chuck it into this really fast flowing right hand corner, try and get on the throttle early, upshift to fifth gear. And again, doing that reasonably well. We've got the gap still at about 4-5 tenths of a second. We only need to gain a couple of attempts and we'll break that slipstream through here. Really hooking that up onto the throttle. Good traction out of that corner, using the full width of the track. And again, very close to breaking that slipstream. You can see it's so close, 6 tenths I think it is there, the gap into this left hand corner. Trying to get on the throttle as early as we can and then throwing into this right hand corner. Really aggressive on the throttle, and we go a little bit too aggressive, almost losing the rear, but we're trying to get rid of that slipstream for that long straight to see if we can somehow break away. But yeah, at the moment it's not really working out. Into this right hand corner, can we manage to really hook this up, braking late, trying to take that wide line, then get on the throttle as early as possible, and somehow we get on the curb, and I'm not sure how we saved that. Look at this in slow motion. We actually had to lift off the throttle just to try and regain traction. Some very quick steering inputs there just to regain control of that car. I thought we were going to crash into the barrier, but luckily we managed to catch that and then tuck back in behind P1 and get back in that slipstream. So that was a very scary moment, and that is one thing about this track. It's so easy to make a mistake, and you do require a lot of concentration to be driving this track flat out without making errors. It is one of them tracks where you really want to be focusing in. So we managed to get behind P1, and we're going to even get bump draft down the straight there. We've got Fuza, I think, behind us there, also bump draft, and P1 has a massive moment there. Also a very good catch and a good save there at high speed. So everyone making little errors here, very easy to do as we work our way through into the next section where we're going to come to the carousel. As we look at the replay camera, we've got 4 cars in this race fighting for the win. So very interesting racing. We've still got 4 cars battling it out to try and get the win in this race, all within pretty much a second of each other. Some great racing going on here. as we go carrying on with these replay cameras, looking amazing on GT. Again, this is another reason why I'm excited for GT7 with the dynamic weather, bringing in the different times of day. It should be really exciting to see that progression in GT7 with the graphics and the visuals of the game. So fingers crossed. We have quite a lot of tracks with them dynamic settings. It's not confirmed what tracks have got them yet, but hopefully it's the majority of tracks with just a few missing them in terms of dynamic weather and stuff like that. So working our way through here, trying to keep a good amount of speed, running a little bit wide, but so does P1, almost drifting through that corner, and we just about managed to hang on there and keep ourselves in that slipstream. So on the final lap here, trying to see if we can stay a reasonable gap. We want to try and time the run really to P1 so that we can get a nice boost off him and work our way up on that back straight. But we don't want to lose the slipstream through this section, because if we lose the slipstream through this section, we're probably not going to get bump drafted from the cars behind, because they're going to want to get past. So yeah, trying to make sure we concentrate 100% through here, make sure we just hook up these corners, don't overdrive it, just try and keep with him. We've got the slipstream, so we can just manage to stay with him, manage that gap, and then see if we can get him on the back straight. So through here, keeping it really smooth into this right hand corner up here, and we're going to lift a little bit earlier than what we normally would there. You can see lifting nice and early, making sure that we don't hit him. We did have a previous error that I did when I connected with another car who had a different style of approach to that corner. He braked very aggressive, I braked a little bit more trail braking, and we ended up hitting him. So P1 there has a moment there, almost losing control of the car. Now I kind of lifted a bit there because I didn't want to pass him at that point. There's no point me trying to get past him there. So we just lift through here and then just trying to get that gap around 4 or 5 tenths of a second really. We want to try and judge this, so you can see I'm just trying to make sure that we got a good run on him. You can see he's going to try and break the slipstream. He's done 1-2 weaves already. Does another one, and I think he's going to go back to the right. Now I don't know at this track whether that's deemed okay. I mean, I know at some tracks you technically can do like 1 or 2 weaves, but I think anything more than that tends to get a little bit wrong. But I don't know if this combination is classed different with how long the straight is. So maybe in real life cars do more than 3 or 4 weaves down the straight. I'm not too sure. But yeah, we're going to work our way into the final section now. We managed to get ourselves in the lead there with Fusa, giving us a little bit of a bump draft, and we've managed to take the win in this race from P4, which is a very, very good result. And that save that we did has managed us to get the win really. That pretty good save, I would say. You know, we managed to get that traction saved, and yeah, taking the P1 from P4. But we decided to go again, wanted to try and have another go at this combination because I was really enjoying it live on stream. And yeah, we went straight into another race. This was the next race straight after that race. This time we're starting from P3. Can we manage to take another win in this Daily Race C at one of the tracks that I have found very hard to try and get used to, but we are definitely making progress. So we get this underway. We've got Tommy Time Trial in front of us, and we have Wavy in P5 as different drivers in this race. I think that in the last, Derek from the last race decided not to race this one, so a little bit different on terms of starting grid. Let's see if we can get underway and try and get a nice smooth start to the track again, making sure that we take this GP section nice and smooth on the opening lap. We don't want to have any big mistakes and have any errors that drop us all the way down to the back of the grid right at the start. So yeah, trying to keep it nice and smooth. Again, like I say, this car is so very sketchy on the curbs. You have to be very cautious when on the throttle, so it's just a case of getting used to this car. And it's like I say, a car that I've never really bothered to drive because I've not been its biggest fan, but it is actually quite nice once you start getting the hang of it, and it's definitely one of the strongest cars, well, probably the strongest car in Group 3, I think, at the moment in terms of overall situation with different tracks and stuff. So working our way up here, trying to keep it nice and smooth. We're coming through to this really fast left and then right hand corner, just a little lift off the throttle there just to make sure we don't understeer, and we're easily staying in that slipstream. So we're going to fast forward through this section here, just as there's not really much going on. However, as we come through this, the endurance layout there of the GP track, Tommy Time Trial goes for a move up the inside. P2 did leave the door open and saw it coming and just manages to tuck back behind him, and now we're up to P3. So yeah, nice little move there for P1 by Tommy Time Trial, and we've managed to break the slipstream from the cars behind. So now we've just got to try and concentrate on keeping this going and making little mistakes as possible. We've got a nice slipstream to the cars in front of us, and the cars behind do not have that slipstream. So if we work together here, we might be able to break away from that chasing group, and that is the thing. Lap 1, probably best just to work together and try and pull away from other cars and see if we can build up a good gap to the cars behind us. So working our way onto this power section now with just that one really fast right hand corner. We've got a nice gap to the car in front actually here, so we just got a nice bit of slipstream. We can take it nice and easy through this right hand corner. You see, throwing it into this corner, you see there, keeping reasonable speed through there as well, doing that quite well. And then early upshift into 6th gear, and we've got a nice amount of gain. You can see that we pulled away all the way there, and we got the gap up to 1.2 seconds. However, as we come through here, P1 and P2 just started battling a little bit, and I think that caused them to lose a little bit of time. I'm not sure if there was a mistake by Tommy Time Trial actually into that corner, which made P2 have a little look there maybe. And yeah, that's just brought the gap down a little bit, but fortunately it's still around 9/10 of a second. So yeah, just trying to make sure we keep it nice and smooth through here and make sure that we don't get that slipstream back to P4. So through this left hand corner, trying to get good traction, almost into the slipstream behind us there, but we managed to get some nice traction out of the corner and getting that gap back up to 8/10 of a second. And now we've just got to try and keep it smooth through these very tricky left and then right hand corners and keep that gap over the all-important 7.5 temps. So through this right hand corner, doing that quite nice, and again just about managing to keep him out the slipstream there, and we got that gap over the range that is needed. So into this right hand corner, trying to get a smooth exit, and we've managed to just about, I think there, stay away from the slipstream. So working out okay for us here. However, as we come through here, P2 decides to go for a move, but doesn't really make it a move, just ends up wasting. Yeah, just in my view, probably would have been best to bump draft there and just help each other out at that stage, because you just both lose time there. So yeah, that then cost P1 to go wide, and you can see we did have the gap up at 1.2 seconds there. However, as we come through here now, Tommy Time Trial's got dirty tyres. He's going to lose a bit of pace through there. P2 then can't get on the throttle, and then that means that the gap behind to the cars is getting even closer. So they're almost in that slipstream again now, and this is why I think if they would just worked together there, we could have had that gap up to nearly 2 seconds at that stage, because we all would have been able to go through that section pretty much flat out. So I can understand them battling, but the battling there just causes more cars to get involved with the battle for the lead, because there's 2 or 3 more cars behind us there. So yeah, you bring in a 3-car battle into a 6-car battle. So was it the right thing to do, going for that move on that straight without actually getting it done? I don't know. Maybe I would have probably just bump drafted there on lap 1. Maybe lap 2 you could go for it, I'd say, definitely, but lap 1 I probably would have worked together to try and build up a lead maybe. But we're going to fast forward the action here now, and you can see we've got that gap around about 3-4 temps to the car in front. However, the cars behind have managed to get in that slipstream as we work our way onto the back straight, and just trying to make sure we get a good solid exit off this corner. Just lifting a little bit just so that we get a nice run, because we don't want the cars behind getting a run on us. And yeah, we've managed to pick that slipstream up quite nicely there. So they're doing a little bit of weaving, trying to break that slipstream. That's all fair, but it looks like the car behind might have had half a second penalty there possibly, as you see the gap back up to over 1 second to P4. I think there must have been an issue with a penalty on one of the corners, but they're weaving ahead in front of us, trying to stop them getting the slipstream, trying to stop P2 getting the slipstream, but we're getting a very nice tow from P3 here, working our way up to 180 miles per hour. We're not going to be able to go for a move though. However, as we come through this section, there's no real point me trying to send it, so I just brake nice and early, as it looked like it was getting a little bit sketchy between these two. So yeah, just brake nice and early, make sure we get a solid entry and exit off that corner, and then work our way into the GP section of the track. So again, just one more lap to go here. This was only a 2-lap race on this daily race C. It was quite a short daily race C, but the reason, because they couldn't probably get 3 laps in without making sure that you get into the next slot, so that's why it was only the 2 laps. So into the left hand corner again, trying to keep it nice and smooth. It looked like Tommy Time Trial was having a little look up the inside of P1 there, but decided to back out of it. We've now got the slipstream to P2. We're not going to go for a move here. There's no point trying to send it there. It's better to just tuck in behind him and try and get that gap up to the cars behind, because I could see every time we're battling, they just kept closing back in on us. So I was just trying to not worry too much of this section of the track, because there's no point fighting too much as we work our way on the downhill section. And you can see, unfortunately, they did battle a bit, and you can see the cars behind had got back in the slipstream, but it does make it more exciting for the end of the race as we go into the braking zone. It looks like it's now a 4-car race for the win. It looks like P5 has dropped off with that penalty, and now we've got 4 cars fighting it for the win in this race. So this is going to be really interesting as we get to the closing stages. Who will come out on top in this daily race C? We're going to go through this really tricky section. This section here again, Very easy to get wrong if you hit that curb wrong. But we managed to do that quite nicely this time. Down into second gear. Try and get the car into the apex there. If you run wide there, you can lose a lot of time. Onto the throttle, into third gear. And we're all got through there nice and smoothly without any issues. You can see that P5 just a little bit too far off this battle now. Around about 2-3 seconds behind. So as long as we don't have any massive issues at the front, we should be alright here. So into this left-hand corner. And we're going to see that P1, as we come through here, gets all out of shape, loses it on the grass, almost collides into P2. Luckily, P2 braked and then tucked in behind now what is now P2. So he's back down. So P2 went into P3. P1 went into I don't know, I think P5 by the looks of it after the incident. So a big incident there for Tommy Time Trial. And we've now got the lead. So I decided again to try and push and break away from him. And then we came to our favourite corner on the track where we always overdrive it. Onto the curb again, exactly the same as we did in the race before. Again, this time we managed to save it, but not quite as well. We went on the grass a little bit, and that's going to give us a little bit of dirty tyres. However, as we pick up that slipstream from Wavy here, we've got this really fast left-hand corner, which should clean the tyres up. So we should be all okay by the time we get to the major braking zones. And you can see there we give P1 the bump draft, because obviously if I've got dirty tyres, I didn't want to go in front of him. So as we come through, we're going to take it a little bit cautious, you see there. Although we actually do it quite nicely and running quite wide there. But luckily we don't get the dirty tyres. P1, however, did run wide. He's going to have dirty tyres in this next right-hand corner. And you're going to see as we come through here, he's got no traction at all. Almost losing the rear in front of us. We go down to the left-hand side and he almost knocks us off the track. Not deliberate, obviously just losing traction. And we take that move up on the inside and get ourselves into P1 again in this daily race C. So now we've got to try and hold on to this and try and break away, because if we're in P1 on that back straight, it's not really the position you want to be at this track. You want to be in P3 or something like that, so you get a really nice slipstream all the way up that long straight, and then you can overtake them for the win at the end. But yeah, we're currently in P1. We don't want to lift though through here. We're going to try and see if we can push and see if we can break that slipstream and see if we can somehow remove them from the rear and just get away and just run away with this race. However, it's going to be extremely difficult. Like I say, this is my weakest section of the track, so trying to break away at this part of the track is very, very difficult. But we're going to give it a go, pushing as much as we can through. You can see that P2 right on our tail there, and it's now looks like it's a 3-car race for the win in this race. It looks like obviously the other cars dropped off there with that incident. So yeah, 3 cars remaining in this battle as P2 has a massive drift moment there. You can see on the replay camera almost 4 wheels drifting through that corner as we work our way over the dust there, powering our way through this really fast flowing section. And you can see we haven't managed to break that slipstream, so this is going to be a real tactical battle at the end. Are we somehow going to be able to manage to take P1 from this race in this situation? It's going to be very, very difficult as we run a little bit wide there, but managing to keep it on the track. P2 getting the slipstream. He's going to bump draft us here. He wants to try and break away from the slipstream to the car behind, so then he can just slipstream me on the straight and get a nice, easy win. So we work our way through here. We run a little bit wide through there, a little bit of mistake, not driving that smooth. And yeah, a bit messy through there. However, that's not the worst situation really, because we want to try and get us back in the slipstream really. So as we come through here, you're going to see we're not really going to drive this 100%. We want to try and keep that gap around 1-2 tenths behind them. So as we come through here, I'm just taking it nicely. We actually do a little bit of a lift through there to make sure that we don't get an amazing exit off the corner. However, he does give us a bump draft, and then as we come through here, we're going to again lift off the throttle to try and get him to go past us, because I wanted him to get past us early. However, he chooses to bump draft us, the right thing to do in his part. I was wondering if he'd try and overtake me, but he didn't fall for it. He gave us a bump draft, and now he's going to go for the move just before the hill, which is the optimal time to do it. And also P3 is going to go for that move. That's going to leave us back down in P3 after leading this race. So now we're going to see if we can just maybe get the slipstream back and battle for the win as we come through to the braking phase. We can see they're going side by side, a little bit of contact there, and again another little bit of contact. One car's on the grass, he goes over. P1 then goes all out of shape in the braking zone. We're going to go around the outside, and a very sneaky little win there for us on this daily race C. Just pretty lucky. We take advantage, a little bit of chaos in front of us, and we go over the line for a very nice P1 again. So yeah, that battle at the end got a little bit hectic and we took advantage. Hope you enjoyed them races. Do let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you for more videos and live streams very soon.